I am Chloe, a 36-year-old mother navigating life with my 3-year-old son. I used to be a bartender, but now I find joy in the simple routines of being a stay-at-home mom. My life now seems picture perfect, but the shadows of my past marriage still linger. It was a time filled with chaos, pain, and betrayal, most of it stemming from my ex-husband, but the real twist came from someone much closer. My younger sister, Jessica, who was just 2 years behind me, managed to snatch my husband right from under my nose. This tale begins 3 years ago, but its consequences still ripple through my life. It all resurfaced recently when I ran into my ex-husband and Jessica at a church of all places, just as the new year was dawning. My heart raced when I saw them, but it wasn't out of fear or sadness, it was anticipation. My husband and I had a little secret, one that would hit them where it hurt most. When I introduced my son, their faces dropped. You see, they had been struggling to have a child, and seeing my son, who was fathered by my ex-husband, was a blow they didn't see coming. Their expressions of disappointment and shock were evident, and for a brief moment I savored a twisted sense of relief. They had wronged me, and now they were facing the consequences of their actions, unknowingly. My life as a bartender in a prestigious establishment frequented by politicians, bureaucrats, and business moguls was my first step into a whirlwind romance. It was here that I met the man who would become my ex-husband, a charming government official. At the time, I was in my early 30s, feeling the pressure to settle down. He was smitten with me from the start, captivated by my beauty and background. "You're really cute, totally my type," he would say, showering me with flattery that, in hindsight, was too good to be true. I fell for his charm, believing every word. "I would never do anything to make a beautiful woman like you sad," he promised, a statement that I now realize was filled with lies. Our marriage lasted only 2 short years. The initial months were a dream. He was attentive, always greeting me with a smile despite the demands of his job. But as time went on, those smiles faded. My husband, as it turned out, was far too careless with his relationships with women. His social engagements, which I thought were part of his work, were more about his wandering eye. "I'm sure you're tired after all that networking," I would say, trying to be the supportive wife. But the truth was, I was the one getting tired of his neglect, tired of pretending everything was okay. Then there was Jessica. My younger sister, the polar opposite of me in looks and personality, had always envied what I had. As children, she would take my things, crying out, "Everything that belongs to you belongs to me." This childish behavior evolved into something more sinister as we grew older. A year into my marriage, during a family event at my parents' house, I noticed something unsettling. My husband and Jessica seemed to have a private conversation, and I overheard him say to her, "You're quite different from your sister, a different kind of beauty." It was at that moment that I sensed something was wrong. From that day on, my husband became even more distant, and Jessica's behavior around him changed, becoming more flirtatious. Despite my growing suspicions, I tried to keep our marriage together, mostly because we both wanted a child. The love between us was long gone, but the desire for a family remained. However, after numerous tests, it was revealed that the issue wasn't with me, it was him. Still, we continued to seek treatment, and a year passed by in a blur of appointments and unspoken tension. During this time, I had stopped caring about what my husband was doing. I knew he was involved with other women, but I never imagined that one of those women would be my own sister. The truth hit me out of nowhere. "You know, sis, your marriage is pretty much over," Jessica hinted one day, her tone both smug and malicious. "But if you're not careful, you'll lose more than that." "What are you saying? Don't tell me you—" "Whatever happens, it's your fault," she shot back, her words sending a chill down my spine. I confronted my husband that night, desperate to know the truth. "Are you having an affair with my sister?" I demanded. His response was as casual as it was devastating. "What if I am?" he sneered. "God, you're so annoying. Fine, yes I am. So what now? Want a divorce?" His nonchalance cut deep. "Do you even realize what you're doing?" I cried, tears streaming down my face. "You should be saying that to your sister," he replied, dismissive. "She's the one who came on to me. Even if that were true, why would he go along with it? I'm a guy," he shrugged, "so I can't help it." His words shattered what little was left of our marriage. "Fine," I said, my voice trembling with rage and heartbreak. "We're done. We were always over anyway." With that, I left him. The betrayal by my sister was a bitter pill to swallow, and the fact that my husband admitted it so casually felt like they were both mocking me. I divorced him soon after, and as for Jessica, I cut her off completely. I sent her a cold, final email and tried to move on with my life. A month later, an old colleague from my finance days reached out. We had kept in touch sporadically on social media, but it had been years since we last met in person. We decided to catch up over drinks, and it was during that night out that my life took an unexpected turn. Enter Ethan, my current husband. He was introduced to me by my colleague, who thought we might hit it off. Ethan was an average office worker with an extraordinary talent for investing. He managed a significant portfolio and had a successful investment blog that had garnered quite a following. From the moment I met him, I felt a connection. He was upbeat, kind, and had a sense of humor that put me at ease. "I've been divorced before. Is that all right?" I asked him, my voice tinged with anxiety. "I'm still single. Is that okay?" He replied with a laugh, and just like that, we clicked. We started dating almost immediately, and within 6 months, we were married. Ethan's proposal was as unique as he was. "Chloe, want to invest in me? Marry me," he asked with a grin. I couldn't help but laugh at his quirky proposal, knowing that this time I had found someone who truly made me happy. The truth is, I was already pregnant with Ethan's child before we even got married. We had both been considering marriage, but finding out I was expecting sped up the timeline. Our love blossomed, and our precious baby was the perfect symbol of our new life together. As our first holiday season together approached, we decided to go to church to pray for the health of our baby. It felt like the right thing to do. Our meeting seemed like destiny, and I wanted to express my gratitude. But as we entered the church, I was blindsided by an unexpected twist. There they were, my ex-husband and Jessica, sitting together as if nothing had happened. They looked like a married couple, but I knew better. The memories of their betrayal flooded back. But this time, I wasn't the same broken woman they had wronged. I had told Ethan everything about my past, and he knew the details of my miserable marriage. "I'm going to talk to them," I whispered to Ethan. "Is that okay?" "I don't mind. Are you sure you're okay with it?" he asked, his voice filled with concern. "Yeah, I'm fine," I assured him. "But can you play along that this baby is my ex's child?" Ethan agreed without hesitation, trusting me completely. As my ex-husband and Jessica approached us, we pretended not to notice them at first, letting them come to us. "Wow, what a coincidence," Jessica said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "It's been ages, sis." Seeing her face again, twisted with a mix of smugness and surprise, filled me with a sense of purpose. "How nice to see you two looking so happy together," I said, forcing a smile. "We are. We're officially married now," she replied, her eyes darting nervously between me and Ethan. "Nice to meet you. I've heard so much about you," Ethan said, his tone calm but with an underlying edge. "Really? Like what?" Jessica asked, her facade cracking slightly. "Anyway, why'd you go and have a baby with this guy?" my ex-husband interjected, eyeing Ethan with disdain. "He doesn't look like he's got much of a future. Poor kid." Ethan's reply was swift and cutting. "Don't ever become the type of person who only judges others by their looks or titles," he said, his words clearly aimed at Jessica. "Bold words for a first meeting," she snapped back, her irritation barely hidden. "Do you even know who I am?" "Of course," Ethan replied smoothly. "You're some kind of big shot, right? Nice to meet you. By the way, do you realize that this is actually your child? At Ethan's statement, my ex-husband and Jessica froze, their faces a mask of disbelief. They were completely baffled. "What are you talking about? Stop joking," Jessica stammered, her frustration evident. They had been desperate to have a child, and this revelation was the last thing they expected. "Actually, right after we got divorced, I found out I was pregnant," I explained, watching their reactions closely. "Surprising, right? Not that it's your child, but that I finally got the child I had been wishing for. I met Ethan soon after, and we got married. He agreed to raise this child with me, unlike you." "You're kidding, right?" my ex-husband sputtered, his usual confidence shaken. "Really? Why hasn't it happened for us? Why can't we have a child?" "I don't know," I replied, my voice cold. "Maybe because karma is real. Maybe if you start doing good deeds, your wishes will come true. Since you're at church, why not pray for that?" Jessica's face crumpled, tears welling up in her eyes. "You can't be serious. There's no way I can let this guy raise my special child. He comes from a line of bureaucrats. This can't happen." Both of them were completely rattled, their world crashing down around them. Jessica looked like she was about to cry, desperately trying to regain control of the situation. "Look, I talked to Mom," she began, her voice trembling. "This guy's just an office worker. Raising a child with a man who doesn't even make that much is just asking for this kid to be unhappy. And let's not forget, the child's biological father is from our family. Shouldn't we have the right to raise them? Am I wrong?" "Absolutely not," I replied, my voice firm. "You know, even after the divorce, if you knew you were pregnant, you had a responsibility to tell me. After all, it's my child," my ex-husband added, trying to assert himself. "You think a person like you has the right to raise a child?" "Don't kid yourself," I shot back, my anger boiling over. "You don't have the right to know, let alone the right to raise this child." Hey, Ethan intervened, his voice steady. "Stop this ugly argument in front of the baby. You abandoned Chloe and this child, remember? Just like Chloe said, you don't have any obligation to be informed or any right to be involved. Sorry, but it's true. And for your information, I might be an office worker, but I've done well in investments. I actually have more assets than you. I don't mean to brag, but don't worry, this child won't be unhappy. Shall we go, Chloe?" "Yeah," I agreed, turning away from the flustered and frustrated pair. "Take care, especially you two, the careless womanizer and the greedy one." Ignoring their stunned expressions, we left the church. I felt a sense of closure, but also a lingering sadness for what had been lost. "I'm sorry you got caught up in this, and thank you for going along with me," I said to Ethan, my voice softening. "No problem at all," he replied with a smile. "Honestly, I'm impressed with how well I went along with it. I mean, that was some award-winning acting. I fell for you all over again. I never thought I'd end up at church for the sake of this child, let alone run into those two there," I admitted, a bittersweet smile on my face. "But thanks to that, I was able to get back at my ex-husband and Jessica. I was secretly waiting for this moment. The moment I saw them at the church, it hit me. I could make them squirm with a lie, claiming the baby is from my ex-husband." "I'm fully aware it's a cruel lie," I continued, my voice tinged with regret. "Generally speaking, but let's not forget the heartless things those two have done to me in the past. No regrets. It was a necessary lie to maintain my sanity going forward." "Mom, you don't have to tell Jessica about me, okay?" I asked later that night when I spoke to my mother on the phone. "You know the situation, right?" "Oops, my bad," she replied, sounding guilty. "But what happened to that girl?" "Don't worry about it," I said, feeling the weight of the day's events. "Sorry for all the worry I've caused you. That's what I wanted to say." "It's okay," my mom reassured me, "as long as you're healthy and happy. You're getting along with your current partner, right?" "Absolutely," I said, a genuine smile spreading across my face. "I'm scared of how happy I am, actually. Having daughters who had swapped the same man as their husband would have been a big worry for Mom. I was always concerned about how this could be a strain on her heart, especially since she's been living alone in the family home since my dad passed away. That's another concern for me. When I mentioned this to Ethan, he was the one who suggested we should move in with Mom. "Are you sure?" I asked, surprised by his offer. "I really like your mom, Chloe," he said with a grin. "She's a fun person. Living with her would be like having two Chloes around. It'll be fun." Should I take that as a compliment? I laughed, realizing just how understanding he is. Plus, Mom would be thrilled to see a grandchild every day, and we'd have an extra pair of hands to help with the kid. I can't thank you enough, Ethan. "So, you love me even more now?" he teased, pulling me into a warm embrace. "Let me think about that," I replied playfully, feeling a sense of peace I hadn't felt in years. The peak of happiness is still ongoing, still